Count is stunned when he sees his mother sleeping with a homeless young woman in the snow. Before we begin this beautiful period romance story, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I love knowing where you're joining me from. The snow beat against the carriage windows like small, steady fists. Nikolai leaned forward, trying to see past the frosted glass. The city was a blur of white and shadow, street lamps swallowed by the storm. St. Petersburg, usually full of noise, seemed distant and muted, as if the snow had smothered every sound. "How much farther?" he asked. The coachman's voice came muffled from outside. "Almost there, Your Excellency. The horses are struggling. The streets are nearly gone." Nikolai sat back, gloved hands closing around the leather strap above the window. He had not warned the household he would arrive tonight. He had wanted to surprise his mother, to step through the familiar doors and see her face light up. The idea seemed foolish now. No one should be out in such weather. The carriage jolted. They turned a corner. Through a narrow gap in the frost he saw it at last. The Orlov Palace, its tall facade softened by snow. The lamps around the entrance flickered faintly behind a curtain of white. The carriage rolled to a stop. A footman hurried from the door with an umbrella, half bent by the storm, snow already gathering on his shoulders. Nikolai stepped down onto the frozen cobbles. The cold hit him like a wall, clean and sharp, cutting through layers of wool and fur. He drew a breath that burned his chest and walked quickly toward the entrance. The doors opened before he reached them. The butler, Pavel, bowed lower than usual. "Welcome home, Count Nikolai Ivanovich," he said, but there was no joy in his tone, only tension. Nikolai halted just inside the threshold. The hall was warm, but his skin still prickled. "What is it?" he asked. "You sound as if you are announcing a funeral." Pavel's eyes moved past him to the swirling snow outside, then back. "There has been some concern, sir." "About what?" "The Countess Elena Petrovna. She left the house earlier this evening and has not yet returned." The warmth in the hallway seemed to thin. Nikolai unbuttoned his coat with stiff fingers. "Left in this weather? With whom?" "With no one, sir. She took only her shawl. She said she wished to visit the chapel near the Nevsky Monastery. She did not permit anyone to accompany her." Nikolai stared at him. "And you allowed this?" Pavel's face tightened. "She is the mistress of the house, sir. She does not accept being questioned." A maid hovered behind the butler, wringing her hands. She blurted out, "We begged her not to go, Your Excellency. The snow was already heavy, but she said she would not be long." "How long ago?" Nikolai asked. 3 hours, sir," Pavel said quietly. 3 hours. In that storm? Even with a carriage, it was madness. On foot, it was something worse. Nikolai shrugged off his coat and thrust it into the arms of a surprised footman. "Bring the carriage back," he said. "Now, we go after her." "Sir," Pavel protested, "the roads are dangerous. Perhaps the Countess took shelter somewhere. We could send—" "I will not sit by the fire while my mother is lost in the streets," Nikolai cut in. "I am going." He turned and strode back into the storm before anyone could argue further. The coachman was still on the box, hunched against the wind, as if he had sensed he would not be dismissed so easily. When he saw Nikolai returning, he shook his head. "Count, the horses—" "They will manage," Nikolai said, climbing in. "We are going to the chapel near the monastery. Then we search the streets between here and there." The coachman cursed under his breath, something about saints and foolish nobles, but he snapped the reins. The carriage lurched forward into the swirling white. Inside, the cold found every gap in Nikolai's coat. He leaned close to the window again, wiping away frost with his gloved hand. The city crawled past. Shuttered shops, dark facades, roofs sagging under snow. Occasionally, a figure moved along the street, wrapped in layers of cloth, head bent, barely human in outline. His jaw clenched. St. Petersburg liked to dress itself in gold and marble, but he had never forgotten the other side of it. The alleys where warmth meant life and one wrong night meant death. The memory of his years away, the barracks, the villages, the faces of people who had nothing, pressed against his thoughts. His mother was no frail invalid, yet she had always been careful, circumspect. She hated scenes. She avoided scandal as if it were a disease. What could have driven her into this storm alone? "See anyone?" he called out. "No one but fools and ghosts, sir," the coachman shouted back. They reached the small chapel near the monastery, its modest tower just visible through the storm. No carriage stood outside. The doors were closed. Nikolai jumped down, boots sinking into the snow, and pushed one of the heavy doors open. A gust of warm, incense-scented air met him. Inside, a lone priest turned from the altar, surprised. A few poor parishioners huddled near the back, heads bowed. "Count Orloff," the priest said, "you returned to us on a harsh night." "My mother," Nikolai said without preamble. "Has she been here this evening?" The priest shook his head. "No, my son. I have prayed alone most of the night. I would have greeted the countess had she come." The words closed around him with a dull finality. He thanked the priest and stepped back into the storm. No chapel, no carriage, no sign. Nikolai climbed into the coach again. Snow coated his hair and shoulders, melting slowly and running cold down his neck. "Back toward the house," he said. "We will search each side street. If she fell—" He did not finish. He did not need to. The carriage crawled through the city. Twice he had the coachman stop. He leapt down and spoke to small groups of people gathered in doorways, shivering in rags. Had they seen a lady alone? A woman wrapped in sable, walking too fast, too far? Some stared as if he were crazy. Others shook their heads quickly, more interested in shelter than in the troubles of a count. At last, as they neared the narrower streets that marked the transition from his world to another, he saw something out of place. "Stop!" he shouted. The coach lurched. The horses snorted, their sides heaving. Nikolai threw open the door and stepped into the snow, which came up almost to his calves. He squinted through the white curtain. There, near the mouth of an alley, a dark shape lay against the drift. At first he thought it was a heap of discarded cloth. Then he saw a pale hand. He did not remember running, only the sudden distance closing. "Mother!" he called. There were two figures, not one. The upper one was wrapped in a familiar coat. His knees hit the snow as he fell to them, reaching out. Elena lay on her side, half buried, her arms curled around a younger woman whose clothes were thin and torn. The two bodies were pressed together, as if Elena had used her own warmth as a shield. "Mother," he said again, his voice cracking. Her eyelashes were crusted with ice. Her lips were pale. At the sound of his voice, they moved slightly. "Nikolai," she whispered. He caught her shoulders, lifting her gently. Her face was as cold as marble. The young woman in her arms did not move at all. "What are you doing here?" he asked, breathless. "You will freeze to death. Why did you leave the house?" She did not answer that. Her gaze dragged with visible effort toward the girl. "Do not let them take her," she murmured. "Promise me." "Who?" "Take her where?" Nikolai looked down. The girl's face was young, probably no more than 20. Stray strands of hair stuck to her cheeks, wet and stiff. Her eyes were closed, lashes dark smudges on the white of her skin. Her lips were a frightening shade of blue. He touched her wrist. There, a faint pulse, weak but present. "Please," Eleanor whispered. "She was already on the ground when I found her. No one saw her. No one cared. I could not—" Her teeth chattered. The words broke apart, scattered by the cold. "Enough," Nikolai said, the command more to himself than to her. "We will talk later. For now, we get you both home." He lifted his head. "Help!" he shouted toward the carriage. The coachman and a footman came stumbling through the snow. Together they managed to lift Elena first, then the girl, and carry them to the carriage. The horses shifted nervously, snow matting their manes. The coachman muttered something about madness and saints again, but he handed Elena up as gently as if she were made of glass. Nikolai settled his mother on one bench, wrapping her in blankets from the carriage. The girl he laid on the opposite seat. She was so light he felt as if he were lifting nothing but clothing. He looked between them. "Who is she?" he asked Elena quietly. Elena's fingers closed weakly around his wrist. "Her name is Anya," she whispered. "That is all you need to know now." It was not all he needed to know, but this was not the moment. He pulled the blankets tighter around them both. "Home," he told the coachman, "as quickly as the horses can manage, and send a boy ahead to fetch the doctor." The ride back felt longer than the entire journey from his posting had taken. Nikolai kept his eyes on the two women. His mother's breaths were shallow but regular. The girls were more worrying, coming in short, uneven gasps. Once, she shivered so violently he feared she would fall from the bench, but she never woke. When the carriage finally rolled into the palace courtyard, servants ran out despite the cold. Gasps and exclamations filled the air as they saw who was being carried. "Careful," Nikolai said, though his teeth were also chattering now. Call the doctor, hot water, blankets, quickly. Within minutes, the great house turned into an emergency ward. Fires were stoked higher. Water boiled. The doctor, roused from his bed and half angry until he saw his patients, examined them both with brisk, competent hands. They are fortunate, he said at last, removing his spectacles to rub the bridge of his nose. Another hour and I would not have been so certain. Nikolai stood at the foot of his mother's bed, hands clasped behind his back. Will she be all right? Yes, the doctor said. The Countess is strong. A few days of rest, warm drinks, no shocks. She will scold you again soon enough, Count. And the girl. The doctor glanced toward the adjoining room where Anya lay. She is younger, but she has less reserve, he said. She has clearly not been well fed for some time. The cold struck hard. I believe she will recover, if she's cared for. If, Nikolai repeated. There is no if. She will be. The doctor observed him for a moment, eyebrows lifting slightly, then nodded. Then see that she does not try to rise too soon. These street girls, they fear being in the way. You must insist she rests. The house settled into uneasy patterns. Servants moved about with lowered voices. Some carried hot bricks for the beds, others bowls of broth. Every time Anya's door opened, a pair of eyes would peer in, curious, shocked, fascinated. Who is she? One maid whispered to another near the stair. Some unfortunate the Countess found, the other replied, out there in that storm like a bundle of rags. And now she lies in linen sheets. It is not right. Do you want to say that to the Countess? No, I like my position. In Elena's room, Nikolai sat by her bedside as she dozed. Her face had color again. It struck him how small she seemed against the great pillows. He could not reconcile this fragile figure with the woman who had walked out into the storm alone. When she woke late in the afternoon, the first words from her lips were not about herself. The girl? She asked. Still alive, he answered. The doctor believes she will recover. Elena exhaled slowly, closing her eyes as if in relief. Good, mother, he said quietly. Why did you go out? Why did you risk yourself for her? You do not know her. Her eyes opened again. She studied him. You think I do not? She asked. He frowned. Should I? A faint, strained smile appeared at the corners of her mouth. Not yet, she said. Nikolai, I will tell you everything, but not today. I am tired and my thoughts are heavy. Let me rest a little longer. You ask me to accept that you nearly died on the street beside a stranger, and then you say you will explain another time. Do you trust me? Elena asked, her voice very soft. He hesitated. Yes, then trust me a little longer, she murmured. See to the girl, she has no one. For now, that is enough. He could not force his questions on a woman who still shivered under 3 blankets. He rose, bent to kiss her forehead, and left the room with more unease than when he had entered it. In the adjoining chamber, the air was scented with chamomile and something faintly medicinal. Candles burned on a small table, casting mild light over the figure in the bed. Anya lay very still, her dark hair loose on the pillow. Her lashes rested against her cheeks, casting thin shadows. She looked, in that moment, more like a child than a woman. The maid sitting at her side stood quickly when Nikolai entered. Count, she said, dipping her head. She wakes at times, but not fully. The doctor said to keep her warm. You may go, he said. I will call if I need you. The maid bobbed a nervous curtsy and slipped out. Nikolai moved to the chair by the bed. For a moment, he only studied the young woman's face. There was nothing insignificant about it. Even hollowed by hunger and cold, her features were fine, her mouth soft, but set in a way that suggested stubbornness. Her hands rested atop the blanket. One of them was curled tightly around something beneath the fabric, a faint outline like the shape of a small pendant pressed against the cloth. He did not touch it. Not yet. Anya, he said quietly. That is your name, yes? For a while there was no response. Then her lips moved. He leaned forward. Her voice came out hoarse, barely a whisper. Cold. It is warmer here than where you were, he said. You are in my house. You are safe. Her brow furrowed. I do not want to be in anyone's house, she murmured, as if talking to herself. They always say, I must leave. Then no one will say that here, he replied. One of her eyelids lifted a fraction. A dark eye revealed itself, unfocused but searching. Who are you? She asked. Count Nikolai Orlov, he said. This is my home. You were lying in the snow with my mother when I found you. She closed her eye again, as if the effort of keeping it open was too much. The lady, she whispered. She would not go. I told her to leave me. She would not. That sounds like her, he said. A small, unsteady breath escaped her. It might have been the ghost of a laugh or a sob. Why were you in the street? He asked. Where is your family? Her fingers tightened around the hidden object under the blanket. I was only walking, she said. There is a place near the bakery. They throw away the bread that falls on the floor. I thought... Perhaps, she swallowed, the words breaking. And your family? He pressed gently. Gone, she said. All gone. He let a moment of silence pass. You understand you cannot stay out there, he said. If my mother had not seen you, I did not want to be seen. She cut in, more force in her voice than before. I was only trying to sleep for a little while. I was not stealing. I did not steal anything. Her hand jerked suddenly, as if she were pushing away unseen hands. The movement made a lock of hair fall across her face. No one said you did, Nikolai said quickly. They always say, she muttered. They always say we take what is not ours. They said my father took... He did not. He did not. Her breathing grew rapid. She was somewhere between the room and another time. He could see it in the way her eyes moved beneath her closed lids. Who said that? He asked. Who accused him? She did not seem to hear the question as a question. The words that came out were more like pieces of a memory. They took his position, she murmured. They took his good name. They would not listen. We had to leave. He said he would clear it. He never did. He never could. He died with that word on his forehead. Thief, but he did not. He did not. Her voice broke. A single tear slipped from beneath her lashes. Nikolai sat back, troubled. The story of some dismissed worker, perhaps, a clerk, a servant, one of thousands ruined in quiet offices by careless decisions. He felt a flicker of anger at men who wielded power so lightly, and then remembered he was one of them. He leaned forward again, lowering his voice. What is your family name, Anya? He asked. Your father's name. Can you tell me? Her fingers clenched more tightly around the pendant until her knuckles whitened. Leave it, she whispered. It is all I have left. I will not take anything from you, he said. I only ask his name. The room seemed smaller, the air denser. Outside, the wind scratched at the window panes. For a moment, he thought she had drifted away again. Then her lips shaped the words with difficulty, as if they were heavy. My father's name, she murmured. Mikhail Sokolov. My name is Anya Mikhailovna Sokolova. For a moment, the room stopped breathing. Nikolai's hand tightened on the arm of the chair. The name rang in his head like a struck bell. Sokolov. He knew it, though he could not place from where. Not from a ball, not from an officer's list, from somewhere closer, somewhere older. Anya's lips trembled, as if she had used the last of her strength to shape the syllables. Her fingers remained closed around the hidden pendant. He leaned forward. What did you say? She frowned faintly, lost between waking and fever. My father's name, she whispered again. Mikhail Sokolov. He did not steal. He did not. They lied. Her voice faded. Her head turned slightly on the pillow, eyes rolling beneath the lids. Then she went still. Anya, he said. No answer. Only the slow rise and fall of her chest. Nikolai sat back, heart tripping. The name stirred something he did not want to look at. A conversation half overheard when he was younger. His father's voice tight with anger. The word clerk. Embezzlement. Sokolov. He exhaled sharply, as if to clear the echo. The door opened a crack. The doctor peered in. How is our patient? He asked. Sleeping, Nikolai replied. She spoke a little. Good. Let her rest. The body heals when the tongue is quiet. The doctor stepped in and took Anya's wrist for a moment, nodded, and then turned to Nikolai. You should sleep too, Count. You have been on the road and in the snow. You are no use to anyone if you fall ill next. I will rest later, Nikolai said. See to my mother once more, please. When the doctor left, Nikolai looked at Anya one last time. Her face was smooth again. If not for the shadows under her eyes, she might have been any young lady at peace. He rose, his joints stiff, and went out into the corridor. Pavel waited there, as if he had been anchored to the spot. "Well?" Pavel asked in a low voice. "The girl will live," Nikolai said. "My mother too." "Thanks be," Pavel murmured. "Do we know who she is?" "She told me her name," Nikolai said. "That is enough for now." He did not repeat it. He was not ready to hear it aloud again. He walked to his own room, changed out of damp clothing and lay down for an hour without meaning to. When he woke, grey light seeped around the edges of the curtains. The storm still muttered outside, but more softly, morning. He washed quickly and went first to his mother's room. Elena lay awake, propped against pillows, her hair braided loosely. Her face brightened when she saw him. "There you are," she said. "I knew you would arrive at the most inconvenient possible moment." He crossed the room and smiled despite himself. "Forgive me. Next time I will arrange my homecoming for a clear day and a calm household." "Do not you dare," she replied. "Sit." He did. "How do you feel?" "Tired. Old." Her eyes softened, "But alive, and very glad to see you, my son." He took her hand. It was warmer today. "I thought—" He stopped, not sure how to admit it. "When I saw you in the street, I thought I might have returned only to bury you." Her fingers tightened on his. "I am harder to bury than that," she said. "And you came in time." "Why did you go out alone?" he asked. "You never do such things. Not in summer, much less in a blizzard." Her gaze drifted toward the adjoining wall. Behind it lay the room where Anya slept. "I could not stay in my chair by the fire," she said simply. "Not when I saw her." "You saw her from here?" "From the carriage window," Elena answered. "I was returning from the chapel. She was lying by a doorway like a broken thing. People passed by, no one stopped. I told the driver to halt. He warned me about the cold. I did not listen." "That sounds like you," he said quietly. She gave him a small, tired smile. "I thought, I will only step down and shake her by the shoulder. Then we will drive her somewhere, a shelter perhaps. But when I touched her, she grabbed my sleeve. She was shaking. She tried to speak. What did she say?" Eleanor looked away. "Nothing you need to concern yourself with now, only the words of someone who has known too much fear." He did not miss the evasive turn. It scraped against his patience. "You risked your life for a stranger," he said. "Forgive me if I find that my concern." Eleanor's eyes closed for a moment as if she were listening to something inside herself. "She is not a stranger to me," she murmured. Nikolai stared at her. "You have met her before?" "In a way." She opened her eyes again. "We will talk of it later. Not today." He wanted to press, but her face had gone pale. He saw the fine tremor in her jaw. This was not obstinacy only. It was pain. "Very well," he said. "I will not torment you while you are still weak." "Thank you," she whispered. He stood. "The girl, Anya, is asleep. The doctor says she will recover." Elena's shoulders relaxed. "Good. She must not be sent away, Nikolai." "I did not say I would send her away." "I know your concern for appearances," Elena said gently. "You are your father's son, and you keep the Orlov name neatly folded. I ask you for once not to think of the name. Think of the girl." "I am thinking of both," he replied, "and of you. But I give you my word, no one will drag her back into the snow." That seemed to satisfy her for now. He left his mother's room and returned to Anya's. The maid was there again, spoon in hand, coaxing a little broth between Anya's reluctant lips. Anya's eyes were half open, clearer than they had been. When she saw him, they sharpened. "It is you," she said. "It is," he replied. "How do you feel?" "As if the snow is still on my bones," she said. "But I am not dead. That is something." The maid set the bowl down and slipped out, grateful for any excuse. "You remember where you are?" Nikolai asked. "I remember the ceiling," she said. "And the lady, she sat beside me. She does not belong near the snow." "No," he agreed. "She does not. She also thinks you do not belong there." Anya's gaze wandered to the walls, the curtains, the carved furniture. "I do not belong here either," she muttered. "These rooms are too big. If I move, I will knock something over." "You will not," he said. "You will remain here until you are well. After that, we will decide what is to happen." "We?" She raised an eyebrow, that spark of stubbornness returning. "I have not agreed that you decide anything for me." "You are in my house," he replied mildly. I have some say. You have all the say, she shot back. You are a count. I am nothing. You are the person my mother nearly died to save, he said. That makes you not nothing. Her lips parted, as if his words had caught her unprepared. She sank back against the pillows. I did not ask her to, she murmured. People seldom ask to be rescued, he said. It happens anyway, if someone has a conscience. She swallowed and looked away. How long must I lie here? As long as the doctor says. Doctors like sick people, she muttered. If I stay, the servants will talk. They already talk, he said. You might as well be comfortable while they do it. He meant it as a dry remark, but it drew a tiny smile from her. Your mother, she said after a moment. What is her name? Elena Petrovna Orlova. Orlov, she repeated, testing the sound. I have heard that name. Most in the city have, he said. She hesitated. My father worked somewhere with papers, a house of account, or a prince. I was small. I do not remember the name. I only remember he was proud to go there. Proud until he came home with his hands shaking. There it was again, the tug of memory at the back of his mind. He pushed it aside. This was not the time. Rest now, he said quietly. We will talk later. He stepped out into the corridor and almost collided with Pavel. Forgive me, sir, Pavel said. I was just about to knock. Yes? The morning letters have arrived, Pavel said. And there is something else. I do not know if we should postpone it. Postpone what? The visit this afternoon, sir. The Countess's sister and her family. And Prince Sergei. They were invited for tea and to welcome you home. The invitations went out last week. Nikolai frowned. He had forgotten. Elena is not strong enough to host a gathering, he said. Send our regrets. I have spoken with her, Pavel said. She insists the visit should go on. She says if we cancel, there will be more questions than if she receives them for a short time. Of course she does, Nikolai muttered. Pavel shifted his weight. There is another matter. The staff is already murmuring about the guest. If the guests come, they may hear of her or see her. Then they will hear of her, Nikolai said. It cannot be helped. Should we keep her to her room? Pavel asked. For now? Nikolai hesitated. The practical answer would have been yes. Hide the unsettling element. Avoid unpleasant scenes. But his mother's words came back. She must not be sent away. Do not think of the name. Think of the girl. If she is well enough to sit in a chair, he said slowly, she may come to the small salon for a short time, not as a spectacle, as a guest. Pavel stared. As a guest, sir. She will need proper clothing, Nikolai added. Something simple. Ask my mother which gown might be altered for her. Pavel opened his mouth as if to protest, then closed it again. Yes, sir. The hours until the visit passed quickly. The house woke fully. Carpets were swept. Silver was polished. The cook snapped at the kitchen maids and worried over pastries. The storm outside faded to a gentle fall of snow, soft as flour from a baker's hands. In Anya's room, a maid stood with a folded dress draped over her arms. I cannot wear that, Anya said, eyeing it as one might eye a trap. It is the Countess's order, the maid replied. She said you are to be properly dressed. Anya, still pale, sat on the edge of the bed. Her hair had been brushed, and it fell in a dark wave down her back. It will not fit, she said. Look at me, I am... She gestured at herself, unsure of the right word. Too thin. We pin it, the maid said briskly. Turn around. Anya obeyed, grumbling softly. As the maid helped her into the dress, the girl's hands shook. The fabric was soft, heavier than anything she had worn. It smelled faintly of lavender. I will look ridiculous, Anya muttered. You will look like a lady, the maid said, which is what they expect to see in these rooms. I am not a lady. Perhaps you will confuse them, the maid replied with a quick grin. That might be amusing. Anya gave her a startled look, then sighed. My shoes? We have slippers, the maid said. Your boots are beyond saving. I liked those boots, Anya said. They had holes, the maid replied. These do not. When they were finished, Anya stood before the small mirror. The face reflected, there was hers, but altered. The dress gave her a shape she had never noticed. The borrowed lace at her throat felt like a question. She touched her pendant, now resting under the fabric, and relaxed a little. At least she still had that. A knock came at the door. Elena's voice followed. "May I come in?" Anya stiffened. "Yes," she said quickly. The Countess entered, leaning lightly on a cane she rarely used, a concession to her lingering weakness. She took in the sight of the girl in her gown and smiled. "You see," Elena said, "I knew it would suit you." "I feel like a thief," Anya blurted out, then flushed. "Not of the dress," she added quickly, of the air I am breathing in this place." "You are stealing nothing," Elena said. "I am giving it. That is different." Anya looked at her hands. "The servants say people are coming." "Yes," Elena replied. "My sister, her husband, my niece, and Prince Sergei. They wish to see my son and to assure themselves I have not broken in half this winter." "I should not be seen," Anya said. "They will ask why I am here." "They may ask," Elena said calmly. "I will answer as I see fit." "You will be ashamed," Anya whispered. Elena's eyes flashed. "I have much to be ashamed of. Taking care of you is not among those things." Anya stared at her. "Come," Elena said more gently. "You will sit near me. If you grow tired, you will say so, and we will send you back to your room. Do not try to stand for too long. Your legs will protest." Anya swallowed. "If they ask me questions, what should I say?" "The truth," Elena said. "That you were caught in the snow, and that you are my guest." Anya nodded, though the word guest tasted strange. She took a steadying breath. When the guests arrived, the house seemed to draw itself up taller. The front doors opened wide. Coats were taken, hats and veils removed. Laughter and exclamations filled the front hall. "Aunt Irina," Nikolai said, greeting his mother's sister with a kiss on the hand. "Nikolai," she said, patting his cheek, "you are thinner. They do not feed you properly in the service." "They feed us well enough," he said. Uncle Dmitri clapped him on the shoulder. "So, the wandering son returns, just in time to inherit all the trouble we have managed to create without you." "Then perhaps I should go back," Nikolai replied dryly. His cousin Lydia fluttered in, wrapped in fur, cheeks pink from the cold. "Cousin," she said, "I have heard so many stories. You must tell me which are true." "Only the dull ones," he said. "Last came Prince Sergei. He was in his mid-30s, tall, his coat perfectly cut, his expression measuring. Count Orloff," he said, inclining his head. "St. Petersburg is safer with you. Return to it." "I did not know it had been in danger," Nikolai answered. "With your mother's health so fragile and your father gone, there are always dangers," Sergei said quietly. They moved into the small salon where tea was laid out. Elena sat in a high-backed chair, a shawl around her shoulders. She rose as they entered briefly and then sat again. "Irina," she said warmly, "Dmitri, Lydia, Prince Sergei, forgive me for remaining seated. The doctor has stolen half my strength and forbids me to stand too long." "We are only glad you stand at all," Aunt Irina said, fussing. "You look pale." "You always say that," Elena replied. There was the usual exchange of concern and light complaints. Cups of tea were poured, pastries offered. Lydia chattered about a concert. Dmitri lamented taxes. Sergei asked after Nikolai's plans now that he was back. It might have been any winter visit. Then Anya entered. She stepped through the doorway slowly, as if the threshold were made of ice. The maid hovered behind her, ready to catch her if she faltered. Her borrowed dress shifted softly with her movements. Her eyes were wide but steady. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then Lydia blinked. "Oh," she said. "Who is this?" Elena's face did not change. "This is Anya," she said. "She is staying with us for a time." "Anya?" Aunt Irina prompted, eyebrows rising. "Just Anya," Elena said. Nikolai watched the exchange from his place near the mantel. Anya's gaze flicked from face to face, measuring admiration, curiosity, suspicion. She seemed to grow smaller under their scrutiny, yet her chin did not drop. "Come, my dear," Elena said. "Sit here." Anya obeyed, moving to a chair slightly behind the Countess. She sat with care, hands folded tightly in her lap. Lydia leaned forward, smiling with a sweetness that did not reach her eyes. "Are you a companion, then?" she asked. "You are very young. Where are you from? Who are your people?" Anya swallowed. "I am from the city," she said. "My people are Gone. Gone? Lydia repeated. All of them? Yes. How dreadful, Aunt Irina murmured. War? Poverty, most likely, Uncle Dmitri said under his breath. Prince Sergei's gaze sharpened. Forgive my frankness, Countess, he said, but I do not recall you mentioning a young lady residing with you. Is she a relation? No, Elena said calmly. She is my guest. A guest, Sergei echoed. From where? From the street, someone muttered. All eyes turned. It was one of the younger footmen, who had entered with a tray and forgotten to leave quickly enough. His face went white. I beg your pardon, Your Excellencies, he stammered. I spoke without thinking. What did you say? Aunt Irina snapped. The footman looked at Elena in panic. Go, Elena said quietly. We do not need more tea. He fled, but the word was out. Street. Lydia's eyes widened. Street? What does that mean? It means, Dmitri said slowly, that these charitable efforts have come indoors farther than usual. Elena's jaw tightened. I found Anya during the storm, she said. She was freezing. I brought her home, that is all. Not quite all, Prince Sergei said gently. You brought her home and put her in your own rooms, I hear. The staff is not entirely discreet. They say the Count found you embracing her in the snow. Eleanor's hand moved slightly on the arm of her chair. Would you have preferred I stepped over her? She asked. That is not what he implied, I am sure, Aunt Irina cut in. But Elena, really? To put a homeless girl under your roof? People will talk. They already talk, Elena said. As they see, so they speak. Let them. Lydia's gaze travelled over Anya's dress. Is that one of your gowns? She asked. Yes, Elena said. Lydia tittered. How charming. From gutter to silk in a single day. Anya's fingers dug into her own palms. She forced herself to breathe evenly. I did not ask for silk, she said quietly. Everyone turned to her. What did you say? Aunt Irina demanded. I did not ask for silk, Anya repeated, a little louder. I did not ask to be here. The Countess brought me, I am grateful, but I did not ask. That is hardly the point, Aunt Irina said. There are proper places for charity. Shelters, convents. Not under the same roof as your son, Elena. Nikolai felt the air in the room thin. He took a step forward. Do you fear the roof will collapse under the weight of one extra person? He asked dryly. Irina shot him a look. Do not be glib, Nikolai. You know what I mean. Yes, Sergei said gently. We all know. Appearance matters. You are not an ordinary family. Your name carries weight. If people see a vagabond sitting in your salon as if she were your ward, they will ask questions. Let them, Elena repeated. They will wonder where she came from, Sergei went on, what her past is, what she might say or do, whether she understands the rules of our world. And if she does not, they will not blame her. They will blame you. Then let them blame me, Elena said. Not her. Anya's eyes moved between the faces, trying to follow the currents. She felt as if the floor beneath her chair were tilting. Prince Sergei turned his attention to her. Tell me, Anya, he said with a courtly politeness that somehow sounded like a test. Before the Countess found you, where did you sleep? Anya opened her mouth, closed it, then lifted her chin. In doorways, she said. In alleys, when there was shelter from the wind. In a church sometimes, if the priest was kind. In summer by the river. Lydia made a faint sound of horror. And before that? Sergei asked. Surely you had employment? Yes, Anya said. Sometimes I scrubbed steps, or carried coal, or washed laundry. Sometimes there was no employment. Then I walked until I could not feel my feet so they would not hurt. And your family? Dmitri asked, more curious than cruel. You say they are gone. How? My father died, Anya said. We had no money after they took his work. My mother died next winter. The others... She lifted one shoulder. I am the only one left. Silence fell for a moment. And why was your father's work taken? Aunt Irina asked. Do you know? Anya's throat worked. Her fingers found the shape of her pendant through the fabric. They said he stole, she whispered, from the house where he kept the books. They said he took what was not his. He did not. He swore he did not. The accusations of thieves are common, Dmitri said, in every counting room. My father was not a thief, Anya said sharply. He was proud. He was careful. He taught me to read numbers. He taught me to pray. He... She broke off, breath shaking. Elena placed a hand over hers. "Hush, my dear," she said. "You owe them no defense of your father today." "On the contrary," Aunt Irina said. "If we are to sit in the same room, I would like to know who I am sitting with." "You are sitting with a young woman my son and I have chosen to protect," Elena replied. "That is sufficient." Lydia leaned back, eyes narrowed. "This is madness," she murmured. "First father dies, and now you decide to open your doors to the streets. What will you do next, Elena? Invite the whole of Nevsky Prospect to supper?" "If they are hungry enough," Elena said coolly. "Perhaps." The words startled a brief laugh from Dmitri, quickly smothered. Prince Sergei was not amused. "Elena," he said, "I admire your heart, I truly do. But there are consequences. The court watches. Your late husband's reputation is not as firm as it once was. The slightest hint of impropriety—" "What impropriety is there in sharing my roof?" Elena interrupted. "I am not hiding anything. She is here. She eats at my table. She is under my protection." "And under your son's roof," Sergei added. His gaze flicked toward Nikolai. "Think of your future, Count. Positions can be given and taken away. Doors can close, or because someone whispered that a girl from the gutter sits in your parlor." Nikolai felt the weight of Sergei's meaning. He also felt Anya's eyes on him, sharp and wary. "My future will not be built on pretending I did not see a body in the snow," he said. "If that closes doors, so be it." Sergei's lips thinned. "I remember when your father taught you to balance duty and compassion," he said softly. "It seems you lean now toward one more than the other." "Perhaps I am correcting a past imbalance," Nikolai replied. The visit dissolved after that into stiff politeness. Tea was finished, but pastries were left half-eaten. Lydia claimed a headache. Aunt Irina fussed and scolded. Dmitri made vague promises to return when things have settled. Sergei took his leave last. He pulled Nikolai aside near the door. "Think carefully," he said. "There are those who would use this against you. They tire of names like Orlov. Do not give them an easy weapon." "I did not invite them to judge my household," Nikolai said. "You invite judgment by existing," Sergei replied. "That is the burden of our station. Remember that." When they were gone, the house seemed to exhale. The servants dispersed. The trays were cleared. In the small salon, Anya still sat, shoulders slumped. The color had drained from her face. Elena's hand remained on hers. "You did well," Elena said quietly. "You spoke calmly. You did not let them crush you." "I let them say my father's name as if it were dirt," Anya whispered. "That is not well." "We will speak of your father another time," Elena said. "Today was enough." Anya shook her head. "They think I'm a beggar who slipped in by mistake. They are right." "No," Elena said. "They are not." Nikolai watched from the doorway for a moment, unseen. Then he stepped in. "Enough for today," he said. "You need to rest, Anya. You are exhausted." "I am fine," she said, trying to stand. Her knees buckled. He moved quickly, catching her elbow before she fell. "Fine?" he repeated. "Let us define that word differently." Anya glared at him, but allowed herself to be guided back to her room. Later, when she was settled and the maid was at her post again, he returned to his mother. She sat in the same chair, but now the shawl was drawn more tightly around her. Her face was composed, yet he could see the strain in the lines around her mouth. "You should be in bed," he said. "I have spent enough hours in bed," she replied. "Sit down, Nikolai." He did. "What did you think?" she asked. "I think," he said slowly, "that our relatives are predictable, and that Prince Sergei underestimates how stubborn both of us can be." She gave a small, tired laugh. "He underestimates you more than me. He has known my temperament too long." He leaned forward. "Mother," he said, "why do you care so much about this girl? Do not tell me again that you simply saw her in the snow. You defended her as if she were part of you." "In a way she is," Elena said. "How?" She hesitated. "I failed her once." Nikolai frowned. "You said earlier she is not a stranger to you. Did you know her family?" Elena's eyes clouded. "I knew of them. I knew of a man whose work was taken, whose honor was crushed. I watched from a comfortable distance. I told myself I could do nothing. I let myself be convinced." "Convinced by whom?" She did not answer directly. "Do you remember," she asked instead, "when you were young, the day our steward burned some papers in your father's study? You asked what they were. Your father said they were the remnants of a mistake, that we must not let mistakes lie around where others could see them." "I remember something like that," Nikolai said slowly. "He was angry. He shouted about a clerk, someone who had betrayed his trust." Elena's gaze met his. "That clerk had a family," she said, "a wife, a little girl. I saw them once. The wife's eyes were like stones. The child's eyes—" Her voice faltered. "They have haunted me. When I saw Anya in the snow, I recognized that look. Not the face, but the eyes." "Are you saying," Nikolai asked carefully, "that Anya is that child?" "I am saying," Elena replied, "that our house crushed a man named Sokolov and that his family fell with him. Whether she is that little girl or another, she is part of the ruin we helped create." The name landed between them like a dropped plate. "Sokolov," Nikolai repeated. "Her father's name." Elena nodded. "Yes, father always insisted that Sokolov was a thief," he said. "He said the evidence was clear." "Your father insisted many things," Elena said. "I begged him to look again. He refused. He said to question the decision would be to question his authority." "And you accepted that?" Nikolai said quietly. She flinched. "Yes, I accepted it. I told myself it was not my place to interfere. I watched as they took the man's position, his reputation. I saw from the carriage window when he left our service with his family. The child clung to his hand. I did nothing." Her voice roughened. "I comforted myself with prayers and donations, and warm blankets for other poor souls. But that family I left in the snow. Do you understand now why I could not pass Anya by?" Nikolai sat back, shaken. The pieces settled together with terrible ease. "You think she is Sokolov's daughter," he said. "I know it," Elena whispered. "She spoke of a father accused of theft, of a house with marble floors. The priest who helped me find her last night remembered the name. She is that child, grown, and still in the cold." Nikolai's mind raced. The familiar name he had tried to forget. The half-burned letters. His father's refusal to discuss it further. "There could be many Sokolovs in Russia," he said, though the protest sounded weak even to his own ears. "Believe that if it comforts you," Elena said. "It does not comfort me." He rubbed a hand over his face. "Mother," he said, "if this is true, if our family wronged her so deeply, why did you never tell me?" She looked at him with something like sorrow. "What good would it have done?" she asked. "Your father was alive. The decision was made. You were still learning what it meant to be an Orlov. I did not want to burden you with the knowledge that our name stood on someone else's broken back. Perhaps I would have walked differently if I had known," he said. "Perhaps," she said softly, "perhaps I should have told you. It is too late to change that. It is not too late to care for her now." He stared at the floor for a long moment. "You must understand," he said at last, "that if this comes out, if people learn that you have taken under your roof the daughter of a man your husband condemned, the scandal will be greater than anything you fear now." "I do not care," Elena said. "You may not," he replied, "but it will spread. It will stain father's memory. It will call into question his judgment. They will whisper that the Orlov name rests on false accusations." "Then let them whisper," she said. "Let them shout if they wish. I am tired of carrying a lie in silence." He looked up sharply. "You truly believe Sokolov was innocent?" "I believe," she said slowly, "that your father was too proud to admit the possibility he was wrong. I believe that another man in our employ had more to gain from the missing money. I believe that when I asked questions, I was told to leave matters of business to those who understood them. I obeyed. That is my shame." Her hands twisted in the shawl. "I see that girl's face," she went on, "and I see all the nights she must have spent where you found her. I cannot bear it. Do not ask me to." Nikolai's chest ached. He had returned home expecting quiet duties and familiar comforts. Instead, he had walked into a storm that had nothing to do with the weather. "What do you want from me?" he asked. "Say it plainly." "I want you," Elena said, "to protect her, to give her a place where she is not treated as a stranger or a curiosity, to help me find out, if you can bear it, what truly happened with her father. And I want you to forgive me, if you can, for not telling you sooner." He looked at her, at the lines time and guilt had carved into her face. "I will protect her," he said. That much I can promise now. As for the rest, he shook his head. I do not yet know what the truth is, but I will not pretend this is nothing. A wave of relief passed over Elena's features, mixed with fear. You are a better man than your father, she whispered. Do not say that, he said sharply. I am not eager to judge him either. You may have to, she replied. If you search for the truth, you may not like what you find. He stood, restless, the room suddenly too small. I need air, he said. It is snowing, she warned. I know. I will not go far. He moved toward the door. Nikolai, she called after him. He paused. Yes? She looked suddenly very tired, very old. Do not hate him, she said. Whatever you learn, do not let this turn your heart entirely against your father. He was many things. This was only one of them. He nodded, unsure he could keep that promise. As he turned to leave, her voice stopped him again, softer now, almost pleading. Do not press me for more today, she said. Please, I have carried these shadows for years, to drag them all into the light at once. I am not strong enough. He saw the tremor in her hands, the sheen in her eyes. He forced himself to step back, to let the questions sink for now. Very well, he said quietly. She turned her face toward the snow-blurred window and whispered for him not to ask again, leaving him certain that the girl from the snow was bound to a buried disgrace in his own house. The days after the visit blurred into one another, but for Anya, they felt sharper than any she had known in years. She woke to warmth instead of the sting of wind on her face. She opened her eyes and saw the same ceiling each morning, instead of a new doorway, a new corner. It unnerved her. On the third morning, the maid opened the curtains a little wider. Snow again, the maid said. It never stops. Good, Anya muttered. Then I am not missing anything out there. The maid smiled. The Countess asked if you would join her in the sitting room. She is tired of being the only invalid in the house. I am not an invalid, Anya said. You walk like one, the maid replied. Slow, shivering. Come. She will be offended if you do not. Anya sighed and swung her legs over the side of the bed. The floor was warm beneath her bare feet. She still marveled at that. Heated floors. She had once thought warmth belonged only to stoves and bodies. She dressed in the simple gown they had decided would be for mornings. It was less grand than the one she had worn the day of the visit. That was a relief. She still felt foolish when she thought of the silk. In the small sitting room, Elena sat by the window with a book in her lap. The light fell gently over her face. She looked better each day, less fragile, though the cane rested near her chair. There you are, Elena said. Come sit by me. Anya came, awkward in her borrowed slippers, and sat on the cushioned chair the servants had begun to call Miss Anya's place. I am not a miss, Anya had protested once. What else shall they call you? Elena had asked. It is better than girl. Today, Elena offered her the book. Do you read? She asked. A little, Anya said. My father taught me when he was not too tired. Mostly numbers, receipts, names on papers. This is not a ledger, Elena said. It is a story. Try. Anya took the book. The print was clear, the pages clean. She ran her thumb along the edge, remembering her father's ink-stained fingers. She began to read aloud, haltingly at first, then more smoothly. The story was about a young woman who had to disguise herself as a man to travel safely. Anya raised her eyebrows. Does this really happen? She asked. More often than you think, Elena said. Women learn to move in the spaces they are given. Anya read another page, then stopped. It is strange, she murmured. To sit here and read about trouble instead of listening for the next noise in the street. You are safe here, Elena said quietly. No one will drag you out. For now, Anya replied. You told your family I am a guest. Guests leave. Some do, Elena said. Some stay. Anya's fingers tightened on the book. I do not know how to stay, she admitted. Then we will learn together, Elena said. They spent most of the morning that way, trading pages. Sometimes Elena corrected a mispronounced word. Sometimes she simply listened, eyes half closed, her expression soft. At midday, a tray arrived with broth bread and a small dish of stewed apples. Anya eyed it as if expecting it to vanish. You must eat more, Elena said. You are still all bones. Bones do not consume much, Anya replied, but she took the spoon. Where is your son? She asked after a few bites. He looks like one who does not sit still. Elena smiled faintly. He has gone out. Out? Anya frowned. In the snow? He grows restless indoors, and he has questions scratching at him. He will not rest until he searches for answers. Questions about me, Anya said. About more than you, Elena replied. About things we should have faced long ago. Anya lowered her spoon. If my presence causes troubles, I can leave, she said. Do not think I will cling to your skirts like a child. Elena looked at her with sudden severity. Do not talk of leaving, she said. You barely stand an hour at a time, and you have nowhere to go. There is always somewhere, Anya muttered. A stairwell, a shed, a step. I am offering you a chair and a bed instead, Elena said. It is not an insult. Take it. There was a firmness in her voice that reminded Anya of her father when he insisted she wear his old coat, too big for her, rather than shiver in pride. Very well, Anya said. I will not speak of leaving today. Good, Elena said. That is one less thing for me to worry about. While they sat together, Nikolai crossed the city with his collar turned up and his thoughts turned inward. His first stop was the steward's office, a cramped room off the main hall where the oldest servant in the house kept ledgers, lists, and memories. The steward, Ivan Andreevich, rose stiffly when he saw Nikolai. Count, he said, to what do I owe this honor? I need to ask about something that happened years ago, Nikolai said. A matter of accounts. Ivan's eyebrows lifted. We have had many such matters. This one involved a clerk named Sokolov, Nikolai said. Mikhail Sokolov. The steward's hands stilled on the ledger before him. Ah, he said. You remember, Nikolai said. I remember too much, Ivan replied. Sit, sir, please. Nikolai sat on the chair across from the cluttered desk. I was a boy when it happened, he said. I recall only raised voices. Father shouting about theft, papers burned. I want to know what truly happened. Ivan sighed. It is not my place to question the late count, he began. I am questioning him, Nikolai said, on behalf of someone who has borne the weight of his decision. I will not repeat what you say outside this room without cause, but I need the truth. The old man looked at him for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Mikhail Sokolov came to us from a reputable merchant house, Ivan said. He had letters of recommendation. He was quiet, diligent. Numbers seemed to comfort him. He was not flashy. That made some distrust him. Who distrusted him? Nikolai asked. Ivan hesitated. Another man in the office, he said at last. Viktor Lebedev. He was older, with more years here. He did not like this careful young clerk catching errors in ledgers he himself had approved. Errors, Nikolai repeated. What sort of errors? Small at first, Ivan said. A missing coin here, a double entry there. Sokolov brought them to me. I mentioned them to Lebedev. He brushed them off, said Sokolov was too pedantic. And then, Nikolai prompted. Then one day a larger sum went missing, Ivan said. Not ruinous, but sizable. Your father was furious. He demanded to know who had access to those books. The answer was Sokolov, Lebedev, and myself. And my father chose Sokolov, Nikolai said. He asked for an explanation, Ivan said. Lebedev spoke first. He said he had suspected Sokolov of small irregularities. He claimed to have seen him staying late, touching records that were not his. He had no proof, but he spoke confidently. Sokolov had only his denial and his reputation. What did you say? Nikolai asked. I said that in my experience, Sokolov was honest, Ivan replied. Your father frowned. He said honesty was no defense against missing money. He wanted a culprit. He wanted the matter closed. And Sokolov was that culprit, Nikolai said bitterly. They searched his desk, Ivan went on. Found nothing. They searched his quarters, found nothing. Lebedev remarked that only a clever thief keeps no traces. Your father said that the house could not appear weak. He dismissed Sokolov on the spot, ordered it done publicly so other servants would see the cost of betrayal. Nikolai's stomach knotted. And you? He asked. You complied. I had no power to do otherwise, Ivan said, lifting his hands slightly. But I told Sokolov, I told him that I did not believe he was guilty. It did not help him. He left with his wife and child. I never saw them again. Did anyone consider that Lebedev himself might have taken the money? Nikolai asked. I considered it, Ivan said quietly. So did your mother. She spoke to your father. He did not wish to hear it. Lebedev had been with us longer. He knew the right people, the right words. Sokolov was easier to blame. Did the missing money ever reappear? Nikolai asked. No, Ivan said. But some years later, I learned that Lebedev had quietly purchased a small property on the outskirts of the city. His salary could not have supported that, and no one questioned it, Nikolai said. By then the matter was old, Ivan replied. Your father did not enjoy reopening closed books. Nikolai sat in silence for a moment, feeling the weight of each piece settle. Where are the papers from that time? He asked. The ledgers, the dismissal record, in the archives, Ivan said. We keep everything, even the things your father wished to burn. Some copies were made before the fire. Old habits die hard. I want to see them, Nikolai said. I can bring them, Ivan offered. No, Nikolai said. I will go myself. The archives were in a long, narrow room at the back of the house, where the cold was simplest to combat with closed doors and stacked shelves. The air smelled of paper, ink, and a faint hint of dust. Nikolai lit an extra lamp and began searching. He found the ledgers from the year of the scandal. He traced the columns of numbers with his finger, the way Sokolov might once have done. He saw where amounts shifted in ways they should not. He saw annotations in two different hands, one neat, compact, one broader, sloppier. The neat script was labeled Sokolov. The other was Lebedev. Halfway down a column, he found a note in Lebedev's handwriting. Correction entered. Prior error by junior clerk. He checked the previous pages. The correction had the effect of moving money in a circle that ended in nothing. A gap. Further along in another ledger, he found a different hand entirely. His father's. In the margin, a few sharp words. Unacceptable. Find the culprit. Make an example. Then, on a separate sheet, the dismissal statement. Mikhail Sokolov, clerk, found negligent in his duties and responsible for loss of funds. Dismissed from service of the House of Orlov for theft and misconduct. Name to be communicated to other houses as warning. Nikolai read it twice, the words blurring. His father's signature sat at the bottom. A hot, sour taste rose in his throat. He set the page down carefully, as if it might shatter, and sat back. It was all here. The story Anya's broken whispers had sketched, now given form in ink under his own crest. He closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, his jaw was set. He collected the relevant pages and returned them to their boxes. He did not trust himself to walk through the house with them in his hands. As he left the archives, Pavel appeared in the corridor, wringing his hands in a way that reminded Nikolai of the day he had arrived. Sir, Pavel said, a letter has come. From Prince Sergei. Of course it has, Nikolai said. What does he want now? He requests a private audience, Pavel said. This evening, if convenient. He writes that the matter concerns your future responsibilities. Nikolai exhaled through his nose. Reply that I will see him after supper, he said, in the study. Yes, sir, Pavel said. One more thing. Some of the staff are unsettled. The cook complains that the maids spend more time whispering about the girl than about the roast. Tell the cook to concern herself with the roast, Nikolai said. As for the maids, they will tire of their gossip eventually. I hope so, Pavel murmured. Is there anything else you require? Yes, Nikolai said, surprising himself. Bring me whatever employment record we have for Viktor Lebedev, and find out where he went when he left our service. Pavel blinked. Lebedev, sir, he is ancient history. History does not stay buried forever, Nikolai said. Find what you can. While Pavel hurried off, Nikolai paused outside the door of the sitting room. He heard voices within. His mother and Anya. He did not enter. Not yet. Inside, Anya sat with the book open on her lap, though she was not reading. Her eyes were on Elena's hands. You said earlier, Anya ventured, that you knew a man whose work was taken, a man with a family. Was that my father? Elena's fingers tightened on each other. Why do you think so? She asked. The way you look at me, Anya said, as if you see something that is not in this room. The way you speak when you say my father's name, as if it cuts your tongue. Elena closed her eyes briefly. I knew of him, she said. I did not know him as a friend, but I knew what was done to him and I did not stop it. Anya's throat constricted. Who did it? She whispered. Elena opened her eyes. They were full of an old grief. "Someone who is no longer here to answer for himself," she said. "That is not an answer," Anya said, her voice sharpening. "It is all I can give today," Elena replied. "Believe me when I say that if I could go back, I would stand in front of your father and refuse to move. I did not then. I will not make that mistake with you." Anya stared at her, torn between the comfort of those words and the ache of what they implied. "You should hate me," Elena said softly. "I would understand if you did." "I do not know what I feel," Anya said. "When I think of you, I feel warm and angry at once. It is confusing." "Confusion is honest," Elena said. "I accept it." Anya looked down at her hands. "If I had known," she said, "that this house had anything to do with my father's disgrace, I would never have come inside." "You were unconscious," Elena reminded her. "I would have crawled away," Anya insisted. "Then I am glad you did not know," Elena said. Anya gave a small, helpless laugh that sounded more like a sob. "I feel as if the ground keeps changing," she said. "First I am on ice, then on stone, then on carpets that do not feel real." "Stone can crack," Elena said. "Ice can melt. Carpets can wear thin. None of it is permanent, not even shame." Anya lifted her eyes. "Is that what you want?" she asked. "To wash away the shame?" "I want to wash away the lie," Elena replied. "Yours, his, mine, all of them." Later, after she had returned to her room for a rest, Nikolai sat in the study with Prince Sergei. The prince examined the glass of brandy in his hand, swirling it once before speaking. "Rumors travel faster than the cold," Sergei said. "You know this." "I am beginning to understand," Nikolai replied. "I have heard," Sergei went on, "that the girl your mother brought in is not merely a charity case, that she sits in your salon, wears your mother's gowns, that you argued with your own relatives on her behalf. Tell me this is exaggerated." "It is accurate," Nikolai said. "She is our guest." Sergei sighed. "You were always too honest. It is admirable. It is also inconvenient. Do you understand what people are saying?" "They are free to say what they like," Nikolai replied. "They are saying," Sergei said patiently, "that perhaps your father's legacy is slipping, that you are allowing sentiment to cloud your judgment, that you might not be reliable in matters requiring discretion. In other words," Nikolai said, "they fear I might do something as reckless as question whether a man condemned as a thief was truly guilty." Sergei's head snapped up. "What are you talking about?" "An old case," Nikolai said. "A clerk dismissed in disgrace. His daughter is under my roof. She shivered in the street while we sat by our fires." Sergei frowned. "You cannot carry every injustice on your shoulders." "Perhaps not," Nikolai said, "but I cannot ignore the ones that bear my own name." "What do you intend to do?" Sergei asked. "Find the truth," Nikolai said, "and if it is not what my father claimed, I will say so." Sergei set his glass down sharply. "This is folly," he said. "You will drag your father's name through the mud. You will give his enemies a weapon." "Perhaps they deserve a weapon," Nikolai said. "If the foundation they stand on is a lie." Sergei stared at him. "You have changed," he said. "I have opened my eyes," Nikolai replied. "You risk everything," Sergei warned. "For a girl from the street. For justice," Nikolai said. "The girl is part of that, but not the whole." Sergei rose, frustration tight in his movements. "Think carefully, Nikolai," he said. "Some doors once closed do not open again." "Then I will find new doors," Nikolai said. Sergei shook his head and left without another word. The house settled into evening. Lights glowed in the windows. Servants moved more quietly, sensing the tension. In his room, Nikolai sat at his desk with a small stack of papers in front of him. Pavel had brought them. Lebedev's employment record. He skimmed it. Years of service. A modest salary. Then a sudden departure 2 years after Sokolov's dismissal. No explanation given. On the back of one page, a note in Ivan's old hand. Left for health reasons. Rumor of debts paid suddenly. Nikolai ran a thumb along the line. Lebedev, who had dismissed Sokolov with a word. Lebedev, who had acquired property. He stood, restless, and paced. In another room, Anya lay awake, staring at the ceiling again. The air felt heavy. The pendant under her nightgown pressed cool against her skin. She held it between thumb and forefinger, tracing the worn edges. She remembered her father's voice the day they left the great house where he had worked. They will see, he had said, eyes burning. One day, they will see. Truth is stubborn. She had believed him then. Years of hunger had dulled that belief. Now in this house it flickered again, uncertain. She heard footsteps in the corridor, male, measured. Curiosity tugged at her. She slipped out of bed, pulled on a shawl and opened her door a crack. She saw Nikolai's back as he passed, papers in his hand. He walked toward the far end of the corridor, where his mother's small private salon lay. Anya hesitated, then followed, silent as she could. She stopped before the slightly open door. Voices carried clearly. "You were right," Nikolai was saying. It was not Sokolov. Anya's breath caught. She pressed herself to the wall, heart pounding. "Tell me," Eleanor's voice answered, tight. "Lebedev altered the numbers," Nikolai said. "He covered his tracks by calling them corrections. The missing money never touched Sokolov's hands. Father chose to believe the man who sounded sure instead of the man who merely was honest." "And now?" Elena asked. "And now," Nikolai said, "I have in my archives a dismissal statement that brands an innocent man a thief and warns others not to employ his name. It bears our crest and father's signature. For years that paper has whispered a lie while his daughter froze on our steps." There was a silence so deep, Anya could hear the tick of a clock inside the room. "What will you do?" Elena asked at last. "I do not yet know," Nikolai said. "But I know this much. Everything that has crushed her life began under this roof with the stroke of my father's pen." Elena did not answer at once. Nikolai stood in the middle of the little room, shoulders tight, as if the walls themselves accused him. "At least you see it," she said finally. "That is more than your father ever permitted himself." "This is not a matter of seeing," he replied. "It is a matter of what we do now. That paper still stands. So does every door that closed on him because of it." Eleanor's hand went to her throat. "You intend to tear it up?" she asked. "Tearing it up is nothing," he said. "The words have already done their work. We must write new ones." Loudly, she looked at him with a mixture of pride and fear. "You will make enemies," she warned. "I already have them," he said. "At least now they will hate me for the right reason." "You would expose your father's mistake to the city?" she asked. "To the court?" "I would correct a wrong that cost a man his life," he replied. "If my father stands smaller because of that, then let him stand as he was, not as we pretend he was." Elena's eyes closed briefly. "Anya will need to hear this from you," she said, "not from whispers in corridors." "She will," he said, "but I must find the proper words. There is no easy way to tell someone that your family destroyed hers." "No," Eleanor agreed, "there is not." In the hallway, Anya pressed a hand against her chest, feeling her heart pound. She stepped back from the door, careful not to make the floor creak, and retreated down the corridor as quietly as she had come. Each step felt heavy, as if the air thickened around her. She reached her room, closed the door, and leaned against it, under this roof, with the stroke of my father's pen. She slid down until she sat on the floor, knees drawn up, eyes closed. The house of Orlov. The name she had heard murmured with awe and resentment in poorer quarters. The house her father had served with such pride. The house that had damned him. Her hands moved to the pendant beneath her gown. She drew it out, flipped it open. The tiny drawing of her father's face looked back at her, worn but stubborn, as if ink could hold more courage than flesh. "You were right," she whispered. "They did this to you." Her throat tightened. "I am inside their house," she said to the small picture, "sleeping in their bed, wearing their clothes, eating their food." It made her stomach twist. A knock at the door broke her trance. "Anya," came Elena's voice. "May I come in?" Anya hesitated, wiped quickly at her eyes, and forced herself to her feet. "Yes," she said. Elena entered slowly, leaning on her cane, her expression anxious. "You were not at supper," she said. "I was not hungry," Anya replied. "You must eat," Elena said. "Cold memories require warm food to fight them." "It is not memories that make me sick," Anya said. She held up the pendant, open. "Did you know?" she asked, her voice low. "From the first night, when you saw me in the snow?" Elena's gaze dropped to the tiny face. "I suspected," she said. "I knew your father's name. I knew his eyes. I saw them in yours." "And you did not tell me?" Anya's voice shook. You were half dead, Elena said softly. I wanted you to survive first. Then I wanted to find out if what I feared was true. And now you know it is, Anya said. Your son said it. Everything that has crushed her life began under this roof. Elena flinched. You heard, she murmured. Yes, Anya said. You spoke as if I were not part of it, as if I were a story, not the piece of it sitting in the next room. I am sorry, Elena said. We should have brought you in at once. I was thinking like a coward, dividing the pain into smaller portions. Anya's breath came fast. This house killed my father, she said. Not with a knife, not with a rope, with a word. Thief. They stamped it on his name and sent us away. Elena's eyes glistened. Yes, she said quietly. We did. My mother scrubbed floors until she coughed blood, Anya went on. My brother died of fever in a room too cold to keep him. My sisters were buried in cheap coffins. My father died with that word cursing him. And all this time you sat here by your fire under your chandelier. She gestured toward the ceiling, though they were in a modest room. And you knew, she finished. Not all of it, Elena whispered. I did not know their end. Only the beginning. But the beginning was enough. And I did nothing. Why? Anya demanded. Why? Because I was afraid, Elena said. Afraid to challenge my husband. Afraid to look foolish if I was wrong. Afraid to disturb the peace of this house. I wrapped myself in that fear as tightly as in any shawl, and while I sat there, your life broke. Silence stretched between them. Anya's hands shook around the pendant. You say you are sorry, she said. Do you know how many people have said that to me? Sorry we have no work. Sorry there is no room near the stove. Sorry the bread is gone. Sorry you are too late. Sorry. This is not the same, Elena said. It feels the same, Anya replied. No, Elena said more firmly. Those were small regrets over small inconveniences. This is a confession of a great wrong, one that bears my name. It may not heal you, but I will not pretend it is nothing. Anya stared at her, breathing hard. What do you want from me? She asked. Forgiveness? Gratitude? I want you to live, Elena said simply, and I want your father's name cleared, for his sake, for yours, for mine, for my son's, for this house. I want the truth to be louder than the lie has been. Anya let out a short, bitter sound. Truth does not feed people, she said. It might, if it opens doors that were slammed in your face, Elena replied. If your father's name is cleared, there may be compensation, opportunities. At the very least, you will not carry that word in your blood anymore. He is dead, Anya said. What use is a clean name 6 years into the grave? Elena's voice broke. I cannot raise him, she said. If I could, I would fall to my knees and beg him to forgive me. All I can do is make sure the earth over him is not stamped with a lie, and ensure his daughter does not die in the snow as he did in shame. Anya looked away, jaw clenched. You ask something of me too, Elena went on. You ask me to bear the sight of what I did. That is fair. I do not ask you to love me, only to let me do what I should have done then. What is that? Anya whispered. Stand beside you, Elena said. Not on the steps above, beside. The door opened without a knock. Nikolai stepped in, then halted, seeing their faces. I am interrupting, he said. No, Anya said sharply. You are part of this. He shut the door quietly behind him. For you heard? He asked her. Yes, she said. I heard that your father's pen ruined us, that your name swung above our heads like an axe. Nikolai's face tightened. You have a right to your anger, he said. I will not ask you to speak gently of him. I do not want to speak of him at all, she said. I want to leave this house and never hear Orlov again. Elena sucked in a breath. Anya, it is poison, Anya said. Your crest, your bells, your servant's livery, your polished floors. He walked on those floors. Then we walked on ice. I cannot breathe under this roof. She moved toward the wardrobe, pulled out the plain dress she had arrived in, still stiff from drying, and began to strip off the gown she wore. Elena rose, Cain forgotten. Please, she said. You cannot survive out there. I did before, Anya said. I will again. At what cost? Elena cried. I cannot watch you go back to the streets, knowing I put you there once already. You did not put me there, Anya said. Your husband did, your silence did, your name did. You now are giving me a bed, that is all. It does not erase years. No, Elena said, it does not. But do not throw away the chance to step out of that life because you hate the hands that offer it. Anya's fingers fumbled with the laces. She was shaking too hard. Nikolai crossed the room in 2 strides. Stop, he said quietly. Do not order me, she snapped. I am not your servant. Then I ask you, he said, as one human being asking another. Stop. She glared at him, chest heaving. Why? She demanded. So you can ease your conscience? So you can say you kept the little orphan as a pet in your palace? Look at us, the generous Orloffs, adopting one of the poor we trampled. That is not what this is, he said. How can I know that? She shot back. I have spent years being an object. People throw coins at me, scraps, insults. You throw rooms. It is the same gesture, just bigger. He flinched as if she had struck him. Then let me tell you what I intend, he said. Not in vague words behind doors, but to your face. She folded her arms, still in her shift, the borrowed gown half off her shoulders. He picked it up, draped it around her as a barrier, as much for his mother's sake as hers. I went through our archives, he said. I have proof that your father did not take the money. Another clerk did. I can show you the pages. I will. I plan to go to the parties who received our warning about your father and tell them it was false. I will sign my name to that. I will call on the city to recognize that my father's judgment was wrong in this case. Anya stared at him. You would shame your father, she said slowly, publicly. If necessary, he said. He is beyond human shame now. You are not. And what will they say? She asked. That you are noble. That you are mad. Both, probably, he said. I care less than I did yesterday. What do you gain from this? She insisted. Why risk your standing, your future? For my father? A man you never met. I knew the version of him my father described, Nikolai said. A thief. That was a lie. I refuse to carry that version any longer. I gain the ability to look at myself without disgust. And me? She asked. What do I gain? A name that is yours, not twisted, he said. A chance to walk into a place of work and not have the door closed simply because you say who your father was. If you decide one day to marry and have children, they will not carry a stain they did not earn. She swallowed. And until those papers are written and signed, she asked. Until your fine friends stop whispering? What am I here? A shadow in your corridor? You are a guest, Elena said quickly. A guest under my protection. And under mine, Nikolai added. If you allow it. Anya's eyes moved between them. The weight of choice pressed on her. Stay in the house that had destroyed her to see whether its new master would keep his word, or flee back to the familiar cruelty of the streets, where at least she knew what to expect. Her hand closed around the pendant again. My father used to say, she murmured, not looking at them, that when a man offers something that costs him nothing, it is charity. When he offers something that costs him much, it may be repentance. Nikolai waited. Clearing his name will cost you, she said. I hear that. I do not know if I care about your cost, but... She looked up, meeting his eyes. I care about his name. He inclined his head. So do I, he said. She let out a long breath. I will not go tonight, she said at last. Not because I forgive you, not because I trust you fully, because leaving now would mean running from the chance that he might finally be called honest instead of thief. I owe him at least that much stubbornness. Elena's shoulders sagged in relief. Thank you, she whispered. Do not thank me, Anya said. You are the ones who owe thanks. For my father's patience, for his dignity, even when your crest pushed him down. You are right, Elena said. We owe more than we can pay. Nikolai stepped closer, but not too close. There is something else, he said quietly. I want to say it now, before letters are sent and documents drawn up. So you know my reasons clearly. Anya stiffened. If you are about to speak of pity, spare your breath. It is not pity, he said. Or not only. When you came into this house, you shook it. You forced my mother to face what she had hidden. You forced me to look at the ways our comfort was built on others' pain. That would have been enough reason to care what happens to you. But it is more than that. He paused, searching for words that did not sound rehearsed, because they were not. In the weeks you have been here, I have watched you, he said. I have seen you learn to read stories and still keep your own. I have heard you speak to servants as if they were equals, and to my relatives with more courage than they have shown in their whole lives. You stand straight even when you think you are about to fall. You argue with me as if I were not a count but a man you can demand answers from. I am grateful for that. I find myself waiting for your voice when a room is too quiet." Anya blinked quickly, as if dust had entered her eyes. "Do not dress this in fine words," she said. "I am not one of your society ladies." "I am not," he said. "I am only trying to tell you, plainly, that I have come to care for you, not as a duty to my conscience, not as a symbol I must guard. As yourself, as Anya." Her lips parted, but no sound came. "I know this is the worst possible moment to say such a thing," he went on. "You have every reason to doubt me. You hear my name and feel the weight of what it has done. But my name can do other things. I would like, if you ever allow it, to give it to you in a way that binds us, not as debtors and creditors, but as partners." Her eyes widened. "You speak of marriage," she said, almost disbelieving. "Yes," he said. "One day, not today, not tomorrow. When your father's name is cleared, when you are free to say no without fear of losing shelter. Only then would I ask for your hand. Until that day, I will ask only this. Let me prove, by what I do, that my feelings are not a passing sentiment." Anya stared at him as if he had stepped out into the snow without a coat. "Do you hear yourself?" she asked. "A count, offering marriage to a girl who stole crusts from gutters? You did not steal them," he said. "They were thrown away. You rescued them." She gave a shaky laugh that turned quickly into something like a sob. "This is insane," she whispered. "Yes," he agreed softly. "But perhaps it is the only sane thing I have said in years." Eleanor watched them, her hand pressed to her heart. "I do not expect an answer," Nikolai said. "Not now, perhaps not for a long time. Say what you must, call me what you like, but do not think this is a gesture of guilt. It is not. If guilt were all I felt, I would build you a house across the city and send you there, safe and distant. I do not want you distant. I want you where I can hear your steps in the corridor." Anya's throat worked. She looked at his face, searching for mockery, for performance. She found only earnestness and a strain that matched her own. "You offer too much," she said. "I cannot even imagine that world. Standing beside you at a table, people bowing to us both. It feels like a story in one of your books. One that ends badly when the girl wakes up." "Then do not imagine the table," he said. "Imagine sitting at the same window with 2 cups of tea and arguing about some small thing. Imagine deciding together how to use whatever money we have to help someone who is where you were. Imagine being able to lay your head down at night and know that no one can throw you out unless they throw us both." She closed her eyes as if the image hurt and soothed at once. "You do not know what you're asking," she said. "If you tie yourself to me, your world will never let you forget it. They will call you foolish. They will call me unworthy." "They already do," he said simply. "Their opinion will not change my mind." "And if I say no?" she whispered. "If, when the time comes, I cannot step into that light? If I choose a life away from this name, even if you have cleaned it a little, then I will respect that," he said. "I will grieve, because I am human, but I will not take back what I promised your father in my own heart, that his name will be cleared. That will stand whether you stay or go." She opened her eyes again, full of storms and questions. "I cannot answer you," she said. "Not about this. My head is full. My heart is not ready." "I know," he said. "I do not even know who I am yet," she said. "Street girl? Clerk's daughter? Guest? Future charity wife? I need time to decide which voice inside me is the true one." "Take all the time you need," he said. He stepped back then, giving her space. Elena exhaled slowly. "For now," she said gently, "let us agree on one thing. We will seek the truth about Mikhail Sokolov. We will write it down where the lie once stood. We will sign our names to it. The rest will come as it must." Anya nodded, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. "I want to be there," she said. "When they write it, when they read it, I want to hear someone in this city say, 'Mikhail Sokolov,' and follow it with 'honest man.'" "You shall," Nikolai said. She looked at him, then at Eleanor. "Then I will stay," she said slowly. "Not as a future anything. not as your ornament, as his daughter, as witness. Eleanor stepped forward and, very carefully, opened her arms. "May I?" she asked. For a heartbeat, Anya hesitated. Then she stepped into the embrace. Elena's arms were gentle but firm. Anya stiffened, then let herself lean, just a little. "I am sorry," Elena whispered into her hair. "For everything I did, for everything I failed to do." "I know," Anya said, her voice muffled. "Do not say it again. Say it to him when you pray." "I will," Eleanor promised. When they parted, Anya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "I'm tired," she said. "Not from walking, from thinking. You have had a lifetime of weight placed on you in one evening," Nikolai said. "Rest. Tomorrow we begin the work." "What work?" she asked. "Speaking to the priest who once knew your father," he said. "Finding the places where your father's name was blackened, drafting letters, summoning our steward to show you the records. You will not be a bystander. You will see every step." She nodded slowly, a fragile determination settling over her. "All right," she said. "If I am to rise from the snow, I want to know exactly where I was lying." Eleanor managed a small smile. "Spoken like a true fighter," she said. "Spoken like my father," Anya replied. They stood there for a moment. 3 lives tangled by past choices, bound now by a shared vow. Outside, the snow fell softly against the windows, quieter than before. Inside, though nothing had yet changed on paper, something essential had shifted. A lie had been named, a promise made, and a feeling confessed, not answered but not rejected. For the first time since she had lost her family, Anya went to bed under a roof that had once cast her out, and whispered to herself, before sleep took her, that tomorrow might not be a repetition of yesterday. Winter did not leave at once. It clung to the city in thin layers, turning streets to slush and breath to mist. But inside the Orlov house, something warmer had begun. Days fell into a new pattern. In the mornings, Anya sat with Nikolai and Elena at the long table that had once seemed forbidden to her. The servants still glanced at her with curiosity, but there was less fear in their eyes, less suspicion. They brought her tea not as to an intruder, but as to someone who belonged. After breakfast, the work began. Letters were written, names were listed. Old ledgers were laid out like maps of past sins. Nikolai spread papers across the study table. "Here," he said, tapping a column, "this is the sum your father was blamed for. Here is where it truly went. This and this are Lebedev's handwriting. We will show it to the merchant houses and to the priest who knew your father. We will not leave them room to say they are not sure." Anya stood beside him, arms folded, peering down. "It looks so small," she said. "All that pain, and it comes down to a few lines of ink." "Small lines," he said. "Long shadows." "And your father's signature," she murmured, touching the bottom of a sheet without quite letting her finger rest on it. "Yes," he said. "We will not pretend it is not there. We will simply write the truth beside it." She looked at him. "And if they refuse to listen," she asked, "if they say, 'It is done, let it lie'?" "Then we knock louder," he replied. "If they still refuse, we print it. We have friends who will help us send it beyond those doors." "You will make yourself unpopular," she said. "Then I will be unpopular with the right people," he said. She shook her head, a faint smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "You are either very brave," she said, "or very foolish." "Both, probably," he answered. Elena watched them from the armchair by the fire, her knitting forgotten in her lap. "You sound like 2 conspirators," she said. "Careful you do not overthrow the entire city while you are at it." "Just a small part of it," Nikolai said. "The part that prefers lies." "An ambitious plan," Elena murmured. "Do not forget to eat while you are at it." They did not overthrow the city, but they shook it. The first to be told was the priest who had once given Mikhail Sokolov small jobs around the church after his dismissal. They went to see him one crisp morning, all 3 together, the air cut at their faces. Anya pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders as they stepped into the modest chapel. Candles flickered on a worn altar. The priest, Father Alexander, recognized Elena at once. "Countess," he said, "you grace us, and you, Count, and you." His eyes rested on Anya with gentle curiosity. "She is the reason we are here," Elena said. Nikolai handed him a small bundle of documents. "Father," he said, You knew a man named Mikhail Sokolov. Yes, the priest replied quietly. A good man, a tired man, a man the world did not treat fairly. We have proof now, Nikolai said, that he did not steal from our house. The accusation was false. We ask you to read this, and then we ask you to say what you know, not only to us, but to those who closed their doors to him. The priest's brows lifted. After so many years? He asked. Years or not? Anya said, finding her voice. My father lies under the earth with a lie on his name. I cannot leave him there like that. The priest looked at her more closely. You are his daughter, he said. Yes, she said. Anya Mikhailovna Sokolova. He smiled sadly. You used to sit on the steps and count the candles, he said. You were very small. I count numbers in ledgers now, she said, and wrongs. He took the papers and read. His lips moved silently over the lines. When he finished, he crossed himself. I believed him when he swore he had not stolen, he said. I always did. But I am glad to see the proof. I will speak, to whoever asks me and to some who do not. Thank you, Anya whispered. I should have done more then, the priest said. I gave him work, but I did not challenge the men who closed their doors. I was cautious. Forgive an old man's cowardice. You taught us to pray, Anya said. That is something. Not enough, he murmured, but perhaps it is not too late to add a little courage. The next steps were harder. Letters went out under the Orloff seal to merchant houses and noble estates, to the house of Rozanov, to the house of Karolin, to the Board of Trade. Each letter carried the same message in careful script. Years ago, at the order of Count Ivan Orloff, a warning was sent concerning a clerk named Mikhail Sokolov. It accused him of theft and urged you not to employ him. We now have proof that this accusation was false. The discrepancies in our accounts were caused by another clerk, Viktor Lebedev. His alterations were mistaken for corrections. In haste and pride, my father chose the wrong man to bear the blame. I, Count Nikolai Ivanovich Orloff, revoke that warning. I declare that Mikhail Sokolov was innocent of the charges laid against him. I ask that his name be cleared in your records. Signed, Nikolai Ivanovich Orloff. Some responses were swift and sincere. One merchant wrote back, We always suspected there was more to the tale. We regret that we trusted the warning without question. Please accept this letter as a formal correction. We will add it to our books. May his soul rest easier. Others were slower. Some never replied. That is all? Anya asked one afternoon, pacing the study as Nikolai sorted replies. A few lines on new paper? How can that weigh as much as the doors that were shut? It cannot, he said. But it is more than there was. And we have one more thing to do. What? She asked. Call them here, he said. The ones who mattered most. The steward, Father Alexander. A few men who sit on committees and love the sound of their own voices. Let them hear it spoken. Let them see your face. You want to parade me, she said warily. I want to give you a voice where your father had none, he replied. You may say as much or as little as you wish. I will not force you. But I would like to stand beside you when his name is read clean, not only on paper but aloud. She thought of her father's shoulders, bent under weight he had not earned. She thought of the day they left the Orloff service, her small hand in his head bowed. All right, she said, call them. They came on an afternoon when the light was thin but steady. The small salon had been arranged with more chairs than usual. There was no tea service, no pastries, only a lectern with papers upon it. Even the steward stood in the corner, hands clasped, face pale. Father Alexander sat near the front, hat in hand. Two members of the trade board, men with heavy coats and heavier expressions, murmured to one another. Prince Sergei came as well, more out of wary curiosity than support. What is this about? One board member asked. Your letter was unusual. You will hear in a moment, Nikolai said. Elena sat in her usual chair, Anya beside her. Anya's hands were cold, but she kept them still in her lap. Nikolai walked to the lectern. His back was straight, his voice clear. Years ago, he began, my father dismissed a clerk named Mikhail Sokolov for alleged theft. Many of you heard of it. Some received letters warning you against employing him. Today, I stand here to say publicly that those letters were wrong. The room shifted. Sergei's eyes narrowed. Nikolai continued. Evidence recently reviewed shows that the discrepancies in our accounts were caused by another, Viktor Lebedev, who concealed his actions by altering figures. Mikhail Sokolov's only fault was that he worked in the same room as a dishonest man and a proud one. A faint, uncomfortable laugh flickered and died among the listeners. My father, Nikolai went on, was quick to defend the honor of our house. In his haste, he chose the wrong man to condemn. He did not permit himself or others to question that choice. Mikhail Sokolov lost his position, his reputation, and, in time, his life under that shadow. He picked up a page and held it up. "This is the original dismissal statement," he said. "It bears my father's signature. It calls Sokolov a thief. It commands that his name be shunned. It is a lie." The words fell heavy. "Here," he said, taking another paper, "is the new statement. It bears mine," he read. Mikhail Sokolov was unjustly accused and dismissed from the service of the House of Orlov. The irregularities in the accounts for which he was blamed were caused by another clerk, whose guilt is now established. The House of Orlov publicly clears the name of Mikhail Sokolov. Any warning previously issued against him is hereby revoked. His memory deserves honor, not suspicion. He set the page down. "I ask you," he said, looking at each man in turn, "to add this to your records. Where there is a note of his supposed theft, add this correction. Where there is a mark against his name, cross it out. Do not let the lie stand one day longer than it must." The first board member shifted. "This is most unusual," he said. "It is not common to overturn such old matters." "It is also not common," Nikolai said calmly, "to admit that we were wrong. Yet here we are." Father Alexander rose, leaning on his cane. "I knew this man," he said. "I can confirm what the Count says. Mikhail was honest. I will testify to that in public, if need be." Ivan the steward lifted his hand slightly. "As will I," he said, voice trembling. "I was there when he was dismissed. I did not speak loud enough then. I will speak now." The second board member frowned. "This could tarnish the late Count's reputation," he said. Nikolai met his gaze. "If a reputation cannot bear the weight of truth," he said, "it is not worth protecting." Prince Sergei watched him, an unreadable look on his face. "It will certainly be talked about," he said. "It already is," Nikolai replied. "At least now the talk will have facts." Anya stood. All eyes turned to her. "I am his daughter," she said, voice soft but steady. "You may not remember his face. You remember his name on a list. I remember his hands. I remember how he taught me to add numbers and say prayers. I remember the day he came home with thief on his forehead." Her fingers curled at her sides, but she did not drop her gaze. "We knocked on doors," she said. "Some of yours, perhaps. They closed. We asked for work. We were told there was none, or that his name was not welcome. My father carried that shame until it buried him." She drew a breath. "You cannot bring him back," she went on. "Nothing you sign here will warm the winters he endured. But you can choose whether his grandchildren, if I have them, grow up hearing that their grandfather was honest, or whether they must say, as I did, 'They say he was a thief, but he was not.' I am tired of adding, 'but he was not.' I want to say simply, 'He was an honest man.'" Her eyes shone. "You men like to sign papers," she said. "You enjoy being the ones whose names decide other people's lives. Today, I ask you to sign one more, not to ruin, but to restore." Silence fell again, deeper this time. The first board member cleared his throat. "You speak well for a girl from—" He stopped himself. "From where?" she asked, a hint of challenge in her tone. "From the snow? From your doorstep? From hardship?" he amended awkwardly. "You speak well. I had a good teacher," she said. "Before you took him from me." His cheeks reddened. "We will add the correction," he said stiffly, "for what it is worth. It is worth what we decide to do with it," Father Alexander said. Prince Sergei stepped forward slightly. "As a member of the court," he said, "I will see that this statement reaches more than a ledger. There are those who keep unofficial lists. I will ask them to note it. It may soften some tongues." Nikolai inclined his head. "Thank you," he said quietly. When it was done, when signatures were placed where they should have been years earlier, the men drifted out, each carrying a copy of the new truth with them. In the corridor, Sergei paused beside Nikolai. You have set a strange example, he said. Some will call you arrogant for judging your father. Others will call you honorable for defending a poor man. No one will agree completely. You know that? I do, Nikolai said. You may find fewer invitations in your future, Sergei added. Then I will have more time at my own table, Nikolai replied. There are people I prefer to see there. Sergei glanced toward the salon, where Anya and Elena still sat together, their heads close. I begin to see that, he said. I cannot say I understand, but I see it. He hesitated. If you ever require a voice at court in your favor, he said, do not forget that I am not entirely heartless. Nikolai smiled faintly. I will keep that in mind, he said. Inside the salon, when the door closed, Anya sank into a chair. Her legs trembled. I thought I would faint, she said, laughing weakly. Did I sound foolish? You sounded like a woman who knows her worth, Elena said. It frightened them more than any shout would have. I saw their faces when I said doorstep, Anya said. They do not like being reminded of where they stand. You reminded them very well, Elena replied. Anya pressed her hands over her face. He is cleared, she said, voice muffled. Truly, in their books, in their mouths, they cannot call him a thief again without lying. No, Elena said, they cannot. Anya dropped her hands. Tears slid down her cheeks and left shining paths. I feel lighter, she said. And heavier. Lighter because the word is gone, Elena said. Heavier because now you can feel the full size of what was done. Yes, Anya whispered. Nikolai stepped back into the room quietly. It is done, he said. I heard, she replied. I saw their pens move. He came closer. I have something for you, he said. She arched a brow. Another gown? Another promise? Neither, he said. A piece of paper. But this one is for you alone. He held out a folded document. She took it, hesitating, then opened it. Her eyes moved over the neat lines. It is, she blinked. It is a deed. Yes, he said. To a small house near the river, she read slowly. With a yard and a shed. In my name. In yours, he said. I bought it with my own money. No Orlov crest on it. If you ever decide you cannot bear our roof, you will not go back to alleyways. You will go there. She stared at him. You have given me a way to leave you, she said. Yes, he replied. I promised I would not tie you with gratitude. If you stay, it will not be because you fear the snow. It will be because you choose us. She swallowed hard. You are a strange count, she said. Most men build walls to keep people. You build doors to let them go. I have learned that keeping someone by force is a poor foundation, he said. I would rather you stand beside me freely. She looked at the deed again, then folded it carefully. Thank you, she said, for understanding that I needed this. You are welcome, he said. The days that followed felt different. Anya walked the halls with a new straightness in her spine. She laughed more easily. Sometimes when a servant called her Miss Sokolova, she smiled instead of flinching. One morning she found Elena and Nikolai in the small breakfast room, bent over another set of papers. What do you plot now? She asked, sitting down. Not a plot, Elena said. A plan. For what? Anya asked. For a place, Elena replied, where girls like you once were can come before they reach the snow. A warm room, food, lessons, one near the river, perhaps. A shelter, Anya said. A house of rest, Nikolai suggested. You can name it what you like. Anya looked between them. You wish to make a monument, she said slowly, to what your house did to mine. No, Nikolai said. We wish to make something living, a place of repair, not of memory only. And you would put your name on it, she asked. House of Orlov. No, Elena said firmly. We would put his, Mikhail Sokolov's house, or something like it. Let the city come to associate that name with help, not hurt. Anya's throat tightened again. You keep handing me pieces of the world, she said. It is a lot to hold. You do not have to hold them alone, Elena said. We will carry them with you. Do you like the idea? Nikolai asked. If you do not, we will find another way to honor him. I like it, Anya said. I like the thought of someone walking in there cold and hungry and hearing my father's name as a welcome instead of a warning. Then we will begin, Elena said. There is much to do before spring. They began to visit poorer streets more openly, not as rescuers descending from carriages, but as people listening. Some looked at Anya in disbelief when she returned to old haunts in finer clothing. "You?" one woman exclaimed. "You are the girl who used to sleep near the fish market. I remember you. You would share your crust if a child cried." "I have more crusts now," Anya said. "I intend to share those too." Word spread of a house being prepared near the river, of a name being cleared, of a count who did not hide from his father's mistakes. Gossip flowed in other circles as well. Some said Nikolai had gone mad. Others said he was aiming for sainthood. A few, very quietly, said they were relieved someone had finally done what they themselves had only thought of. Through it all, Anya and Nikolai's paths intersected in small, steady ways. They walked together to the nearly finished house by the river, where builders hammered and laughed. "This room will be for sleeping," Anya said, pointing. "There must be enough beds, and no one can be turned away if they smell of the street." "Agreed," Nikolai said. "This room," she went on, "will be for learning, letters, numbers, not just for children, for anyone. And here," he suggested, "a kitchen. Always a pot on the stove." "Yes," she said, "always." They stood once in the yard, mud clinging to their boots, the river cold and grey beyond the fence. "Do you see it?" he asked. "What?" she said. "Your father's name on the door," he answered. "Not as an apology, but as a promise." She closed her eyes a moment. "I see it," she said. At night, in the Orloff house, they often found themselves in the same room without meaning to. "Do you ever tire of my voice?" she asked him once after a long discussion about whether the shelter should accept men as well as women. "Not yet," he said. "If I do, I will let you know." "And if you tire of mine?" he added. "I already have," she said. He looked startled. "I am joking," she said, and laughed. "Mostly." Spring finally announced itself with a single sound, the drip of melting snow from the roof. One morning, Anya woke to a shaft of bright light cutting across her room. The air still held a bite, but it was gentler. She dressed quickly and went to the window. The massive drifts that had framed the garden were shrinking. Patches of dark earth showed through. She thought of the night she had lain in that cold, of the arms that had wrapped around her, of the voice that had called her name without knowing it belonged to him. Later that day she found Nikolai in the winter garden room, a glass structure that caught light even in the cold months. The plants inside were modest but alive. He stood by one of the tall windows, looking out at the thinning snow. "You look as if you were waiting for something," she said. "I am," he replied. "For what?" she asked. "For courage, perhaps," he said. She smiled faintly. "You? You have been challenging half the city. What more courage do you need?" "The kind that asks a question knowing it could change everything," he said. Her face grew serious. "You said you would wait," she reminded him, "until my father's name was cleared, until I was free to say no. That is done. I am free. Are you so eager to lose your peace?" "I lost my peace the night I brought you in from the snow," he said. "I do not regret it." He turned to face her fully. "Anya," he said, "I meant what I told you that night. I have not withdrawn a word. I love you. I love the way you argue, the way you hold on to your father's memory, the way you learn and refuse to let shame silence you. I love that you challenge my world and make me build a new one. I cannot imagine the rest of my life without your voice in it." Her heart beat loudly enough that she was sure he could hear it. "You also cannot imagine it without your mother," she said, buying a moment. "Fortunately," he said, "she does not ask me to choose between you." "And the world?" she asked. "The ones who whisper. They will whisper whatever they like," he said. "Let them. I will be listening to you." She looked down at her hands. "I used to think," she said slowly, "that love was for people who had time for it, people with full bellies and safe beds. I thought my life would be about survival, not this. Not standing in a warm room while a man like you says such things to me." "A man like me," he repeated softly. "What does that mean now?" "You are a count," she said. "You carry a name that opened and closed doors. I carry a name that was almost crushed under it. It still feels strange to imagine our names together, not as enemy and victim, but as husband and wife." "Strange is not always wrong," he said. "The first step into this house was strange for you too." "Yes," she said. and I almost turned back. "I am glad you did not," he said. She took a breath. "You gave me a house," she said, "in my own name. You cleared my father's. You offered me freedom. You promised your feelings were not charity. I have watched you keep every promise you have made since the night we met. I intend to continue," he said. "I know," she whispered. She lifted her gaze to his. "I asked myself," she went on, "whether I could join my life to yours without feeling as if I were accepting alms, without feeling as if I were erasing my father in your shadow. Today, after hearing his name spoken clean in this city, I know the answer." "What is it?" he asked, his voice very quiet now. "The answer is yes," she said. For a moment he did not move, as if he wanted to be certain he had heard correctly. "Yes," she repeated, a small, almost incredulous smile curving her mouth. "I will marry you, if you still wish to marry me. Not because I owe you, not because I have nowhere else, because I choose you, because when I think of my future, your face is there." The tension left his shoulders in a rush. A light came into his eyes that she had not seen before, bright and unguarded. "I still wish it," he said. "More than ever." He took a step toward her, then another, stopping close enough that she could see the rapid rise of his chest. "May I?" he asked, holding out his hand. She placed hers in it, without hesitation. His fingers closed gently around hers, warm and steady. "You realize," he said, "this will cause a scandal. Then let us give them something worth talking about," she replied. He laughed, the sound low and full. "Spoken like a true Orlov," he said. "Spoken like a Sokolova," she corrected. "Spoken like both," he amended. He lifted her hand and, with a reverence that made her throat tighten, pressed his lips to her knuckles. It was not a grand, theatrical gesture. It was simple, tender, and it made the room seem suddenly very small and very important. "Thank you," he murmured against her skin, "for trusting me, for trusting us." "It is not easy," she said honestly, "but it feels right." He released her hand, only to take both of hers. "We will speak to my mother," he said, "though I suspect she has been waiting for this more eagerly than either of us." "You think she will approve of her son marrying a former street girl?" Anya asked. "I think," he said, "she will approve of her son choosing with his heart instead of with his title, and of her daughter-in-law choosing him with clear eyes." Elena did approve. She cried. She laughed. She called for more tea and for Pavel and for the old silver that had belonged to her grandmother. "I knew," she insisted, wiping her eyes. "I saw it in the way you argued about everything from books to blankets." She took Anya's hands. "May I call you daughter?" she asked. "You may," Anya said, surprised at how easy the answer came. The wedding, when it took place, was not large. There were no towering cakes, no endless lines of carriages. There were flowers, simple and fragrant. There was music, played by a small quartet who knew more folk tunes than waltzes. There were few nobles, some curious, some genuinely happy. There were also faces from the streets, from the church, from the nearly finished shelter by the river. Father Alexander performed the ceremony in the chapel attached to the Orlov house. His voice carried warmly as he asked the ancient questions. "Do you, Count Nikolai Ivanovich Orlov, take this woman Anya Mikhailovna Sokolova to be your lawful wedded wife, to share with her all that you have, to support and cherish her, in fortune and in hardship?" "I do," Nikolai said, looking only at her. "Do you, Anya Mikhailovna, take this man, Nikolai Ivanovich, to be your lawful wedded husband, to share with him all that you are, to stand beside him in joy and in sorrow?" "I do," she replied, her voice steady, her eyes shining. When he told them they might seal their vows with a kiss, Nikolai hesitated half a second, as if asking silently. Anya lifted her chin in answer. He bent and kissed her, gently at first, then with a warmth that made the candles waver in her vision. It was a promise, not a display, a meeting, not a claim. The guests clapped. Someone cheered. Lydia, watching from a pew, dabbed at her eyes despite herself. Prince Sergei shook his head with a small, resigned smile. "They will turn the world upside down, those two," he murmured. Elena sat in the front row, handkerchief pressed to her lips. Joy and regret mingled on her face. "Your father would have grumbled," she whispered to the air, "and then, I think, he would have been proud." Afterward, in the small reception, voices filled the house. Not the cold gossip of distant relatives, but the warm chatter of people eating, laughing, remembering. Anya moved among them with a lightness that surprised even her. She spoke to old women who had once given her crusts, to children who stared at her with wide, hopeful eyes, to merchants who now greeted her with respect. "You are truly a countess now?" one of the boys asked. "I am Anya," she said. "The rest is decoration." "And the house by the river?" an older woman asked. "Is it really for us?" "It is for anyone who needs it," Anya said. "It will open soon. You will smell the soup from 3 streets away." "And the name?" the woman pressed. "Will it be Orlov's house?" "No," Anya said. "It will be called Mikhail's house, after my father." "And your husband agrees?" the woman asked, eyes gleaming. "He insisted," Anya replied. At the edge of the room, Nikolai watched her, love clear in his face. "Go," Elena murmured at his side. "Your wife is conquering the room without you." "I am admiring her technique," he said. He crossed to Anya, sliding easily into her conversation. "You will make people expect too much from that house," he said lightly. "They will be disappointed if the soup is anything less than miraculous." "Then we must hire a miraculous cook," she replied. "Or you must teach me to cook," he suggested. She laughed. "You?" she said. "In an apron. The city would collapse." "Let it," he answered. "We will build it again with better recipes." As the celebration wound down and guests drifted away, the house grew quieter. The candles burned lower. Anya and Nikolai slipped away to the winter garden room, now filled with the faint scent of green things. The snow outside had retreated to small piles, stubborn in the shadows. "It is strange," she said, standing close to the glass. "To think that a few months ago I was lying in that snow. Now I stand here like this." "Like this," he repeated, his hand finding hers. "Beside me. My wife." She smiled softly. "Say it again," she said. "My wife," he said. "You, Anya Mikhailovna Sokolova-Orlova. The name is a mouthful. We will make the city learn it." "First I must learn it," she said. "It still feels new." "You have time," he said. She looked out at the dark garden. "I used to think winter was my enemy," she said. "It took so much from me. But if there had been no snow that night, your mother would not have seen me. You would not have found us. We would never have spoken." "My mother would say," he replied, "that sometimes storms bring people where they are meant to be." "She is right," Anya said. She turned to him, her face open, her eyes bright. "I am not grateful for all that happened," she said. "I will never be glad my father suffered as he did. But I am grateful that I can stand here now, his name cleared, my hand in yours, and know that my life is no longer something that happens to me while I try not to freeze. I am part of it. I choose it, and I choose you," he said. He drew her closer, slowly enough that she could have stepped away. She did not. Their foreheads touched. "Whatever comes," he murmured. "Whispers, doors, storms. We face them together. Together." She echoed. The house around them was quiet now, but it no longer felt like a marble shell built on another man's ruin. It felt for the first time like a home they were shaping together, he who had been born within its walls, and she who had once slept shivering outside them. Outside, the last stubborn patches of snow gleamed softly in the night. Inside, warmth wrapped around them, not just from the fire, but from the choice they had made. From that night on, whenever Anya passed the place in the street where she had once lain, she no longer saw only a girl curled against death. She saw also the image of a carriage stopping, a mother kneeling in the snow, a son rushing to help, and a thread of mercy that had led her, step by step, to this moment. She would smile, pull her shawl close, and walk on, not away from the past, but forward, arm in arm with the man who had chosen to turn his family's shame into a path toward justice and love. Thank you so much for listening to this story all the way to the end. We hope it moved you as much as it moved us while telling it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave us a comment telling us where you're listening from and what you liked the most. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What score would you give it? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like as a show of support. That really motivates us to keep creating and sharing more stories full of emotion and life lessons. And before we go, we want to remind you that an exciting and heartwarming story recommendation will appear on the final screen. If you'd like to enjoy it, just click on the video. Thank you once again for being here, and we'll see you in the next story.